Hello and welcome back to another video by Reviews by Beth, and today I'm going to be talking about Wicked! I'm going to be talking about Wicked the musical, and I'm going to be talking about Wicked the musical part 1 that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo star in Wicked the movie, and I'm also going to be talking about Wicked the musical, the stage. So I'm going to be seeing which I think is better, the stage or the screen. Now, before I go into that little debate, I have to say I was very nervous before watching the film because I love Wicked. It is one of my favourite musicals. I think it is my second favourite musical just after Les Mis, which is high in my mind. So Wicked is literally the top tier in my head of all musicals. I love Wicked. I've seen it 3 times. I just think it is amazing, and the characters are so beloved and the music is so good, and I was so worried about it being on a film because I was like, oh god, what if it doesn't feel the same? I was a bit nervous about Ariana Grande playing Glinda, to be honest, because I was like, you know, she's just cast because she's Ariana Grande. I knew she had an amazing voice, but I was like, it's a poppy voice. Glinda, the character of Glinda, is extremely operatic. How is she going to do it? I knew Cynthia Erivo had an insane voice because she was in The Colour Purple and she sang I'm Here. If you don't know The Colour Purple, the musical, it's so good. I would listen to the soundtrack with Cynthia Erivo in it and Jennifer Hudson. It is amazing. But I was so worried because I was like, what if it just doesn't feel the same? What if they don't do it justice? So I was going into the movie theatre like, movie theatre. Oh my goodness, I sound so American. I was going into the cinema. I was literally like, oh my goodness, okay, how is this gonna go? And do you know what? They proved me wrong. I wasn't hating, but I was like, I'm apprehensive. I loved the musical so much. It was amazing. I mean, they did so well. They captured the magic of Oz and they honestly really did an amazing job. I have to say, like, the comedy within, because it is a comedic musical. It is one of heartbreak. It is one of love. It is a comedy. It's more feel good than some of your other musicals like Les Mis, Jesus Christ Superstar. It's a lot more light-hearted than that, and there are some real light moments and comedic moments for both Alphabet and Glinda and other characters on stage, and they really captured the essence of that, and I was so happy that they did, actually, because I just loved the musical so much. I'm so glad it translated on screen. Now, I have to say, the star of the movie musical for me was Ariana Grande in Glinda. I was so nervous and she did amazing. I thought she was incredible as Glinda. Glinda is meant to be this bubbly, kind of almost crazy, popular girl, and she has pretty much all of the comedic moments in the musical, and Ariana absolutely smashed it. Her comedic timing, her essence of Glinda, she had it down to a T. I mean, I've watched a few interviews. You can tell she just has always loved the character of Glinda. She's a bit like me. She grew up watching the musical Wicked and just loved it. And I think there's one thing when she was told that she was getting the part of Glinda, she said, I'll take great care of her, I promise. And that's so lovely. Wicked, it centres around a bit of a love story, but actually the main love story is between 2 girls and their love for each other and friendship. And it is such a wonderful story about friendship and supporting each other and facing through adversity, and yeah, it is an incredible heartwarming story, one that doesn't necessarily have its happy ever after. It ties into The Wizard of Oz, so it's a bit of a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, and also in the second act, The Wizard of Oz is kind of started. So the first act of Wicked is prequel to The Wizard of Oz, and then the second act is The Wizard of Oz is happening, but The Wizard of Oz is happening in the background, and what's happening behind the scenes of The Wizard of Oz is happening in the foreground of Act 2. So we kind of know how it's going to go because we know about The Wizard of Oz, which is such a beloved film. But I just thought the screen really surprised me. And it really, really did a good job. And I want to watch part 2. I want to see how they do that. They really delved into the characters. They developed the storylines a bit more because I guess something about the stage is you only have an audience for so long. You can't keep them for 6 hours, because that's what the screen will do. Because this first part one was 3 hours, so the length of a normal show, they made the whole of Act 1. So they kind of doubled the time that Act 1 usually is. And so you can't keep an audience for that long, really. People get itchy bums, or people don't want to sit down for that long. The difference between stage and screen, for me, I've seen this musical, I think 3 times on tour. I've seen it in Manchester. It is incredible. And I think for me, there were some moments in the film that I thought were done better, and some moments on stage that I definitely thought were better. I think for me, one of the main things was, on stage, there is an intimacy with the audience, you know, especially the character of Glinda. I mean, Ariana did an amazing job, but when you're sat as an audience member, she really plays off the audience. She really lives for those laughs, and we really have a good relationship with Glinda and Alphabet, especially in the song Popular. And you have, I think, the theatre has an intimacy and a back and forth with the audience and the characters and the actors on stage that the screen doesn't have, obviously, which I think just can't be replicated. And I also think, I mean, Cynthia Erivo did an incredible job of defying gravity. I mean, she smashed that. But I think there's nothing like hearing it sung live and seeing the absolute strength and powerhouse vocal of someone singing Defying Gravity, which is one of the hardest songs in musical theatre to sing. It is up there. It is tough. That is not an easy song. And if you are doing that 8 times a week, whew, that is hard. It is extremely difficult to sing again and again and again. Like, people who play Alphabet on the West End, on tour, on stage, have to really take care of their vocal cords, because it's a very demanding role. It's extremely hard, that hard work, and I feel like if you watch it on the stage, you really appreciate how hard that actor has worked to get her voice to where it needs to be. I mean, it is just amazing, and it's a real moment. She goes up in the sky and she has this whole like cape that spans the entire stage, and she goes up and there's a spotlight on her face for the very end. And it's just the best moment in the show, and it is amazing. So I think that moment at the end of Defying Gravity just has a bit more for me on the stage, but I mean on the screen was amazing. I love how they fleshed out Oz on the screen. I think that was done really well. I loved that. I loved all the little nuances of all the different characters. I mean, because you're close in, you can see that. I guess on the stage you can't see that as much, so the facial expressions you get a lot more. So there's obviously the differences. And then my one thing was with the screen was the song The Wizard and I. Now, I love that song, and it's one that I enjoy singing, and I know many people love singing. And for me, I've seen it live and it's incredible live. Like, on the stage is amazing. But for me, I mean, Cynthia Erivo, she did a different take on it. She started off very slowly, very soft, and it continued being quite soft until the very end. And I could see that she tried to build it up, and it was a choice. But for me, I just wanted it to have a bit more oomph, and I wanted it to belt it a bit more. I was like, come on, girl. I was kind of waiting for that belt. It came in the end, and it was obviously amazing because it was Cynthia Erivo. But I felt like The Wizard and I didn't have what I wanted it to have on screen. And obviously, every time you go and see it at the theatre, it's going to be different. You can potentially have a different actress. You can have different takes. So I obviously know that everybody has a different take on the songs. Completely get it. But for me, that didn't have what I wanted it to have. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Yeah, I think if there's one thing that I wanted to change about the screen, it was that didn't hit as much as I wanted it to. But I loved the fact on the screen that the original Glinda and the original Alphabet had their moment. So Kristin, Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, they were the original Alphabet and Glinda on Broadway, and they had their own little cameos, and it was amazing, and I loved that. I thought that was amazing. So I think if you've watched the screen and if you've only watched the movie, I feel like you should still go and watch Wicked on stage, because I feel like Wicked on stage just has, and live theatre just has something that a screen doesn't. But I do think that they've done an amazing job of the film. So I enjoy both. I've enjoyed both massively. If I was to choose one, I think I'm definitely going to choose the stage, just because I am a stage girl at heart. I love all things theatre. I love all things musical theatre. But I have to say, if I was to choose, I would go and watch the stage production. But that isn't to say that I think they've done an amazing job of the movie. So yeah, that is my thought and opinions on Wicked, the movie musical, and Wicked, the stage musical. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, so let me know. And as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, then please like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, you can by looking at my Amazon links and also my Patreon channel. Okay, thank you, bye!